Hello guys, I started with Jimi Hendrix improvisation today because we will be talking about the ratings where he's usually number one. The ratings like top 250 guitarists of all time, top 100 guitarists of all time, and so on and so on. And these ratings are usually pretty popular nowadays, and I want to share my opinion why I think these ratings are usually a joke. And what is important, I will not be talking about the obvious things, like this rating is a joke because the guitarist X is not there. For example, when we take top 250 guitarists of all time by Rolling Stone, Guthrie Gowan is not in the list, yeah. Or something like guitarist X is above guitarist Y, that's why the rating is a joke. Same rating, yeah, Tom Morello is higher than Joe Satriani, for example, yeah. But I will not be talking about this, and I will not talk that this rating is bad because some guitarist is above and some guitarist is below. I will talk about general problem of these ratings, and I will talk about the way the guitarists are ranked. So if we want to talk seriously about it, I would think about the ways how we rank the guitarists at first. I would tell there are three major ways how to do it. The first way is purely objective. The second way is subjective. And the third way, let's call it influential or historical way. And of course, all these names are just made by me. You will not find them in some books, but still. So talking about purely objective way, I mean firstly the technique of the guitarist. So how good he is at just playing guitar. So how good are his bends, how good are his vibratos, how good is his rhythm. And that's something we can actually measure because we can take, for example, the live recording of the guitarist to GarageBand or Logic Pro and really measure how in tune his playing is and how good of a rhythm player he is. If you ask me like what is this rating about and what is it for, I don't know. But if we do this purely objective rating, then I think top 10 would be something like Guthrie Gowan, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. I think some guitarists of the other genres also, like John Mayer, for example. So the guys that like really sound amazing, that work on playing years long and hours long every day. So that was a purely objective way. And now let's talk about historical or influential way. And I think that one is self-explanatory because we basically measure how influential the guitarist was and how influential his playing was for the time when he played and also for the future of guitar. I guess here we would also have some kind of objective top 2, top 3, because I would say top 1 is Jimi Hendrix. I think most of the rhythm parts and licks in especially on Strat, in rock guitar and in modern pop guitar are still some kind of Jimi Hendrix style. Yes, Stevie Ray Vaughan, then we can talk about John Mayer, John Frusciante, and even Sugar by Robin Schulz. Everything is inspired by Jimi Hendrix. So I would say that is objective top 1, and I think objective second place is Eddie Van Halen, because all this shred guitar and all this way of like playing, crazy playing with Floyd Rose and playing 1,000 notes per second and so on and so on. But after this top 2, I don't know. Now it's already very, very difficult to say who is more influential and which playing was more important. For example, who is more influential, Kurt Cobain or like Dire Straits or Mark Knopfler? Super difficult to say, yeah. So here we already are in this very, very subjective territory for most of the places. And now the third way comes, the purely subjective way. And this way is very often used by these ratings. And this way is just something like, yeah, I know Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, like B.B. King, yeah, they are very important and they should be guitar heroes, top 3 or top 5. And now I think, yeah, Kurt Cobain was really good at guitar because I love Nirvana. Let's put him on place number 30. Yeah, I don't know, like Steve Vai, sounds boring. I don't know, maybe top 100 because my neighbor said yesterday that Steve Vai is good at guitar, like something like this. And I'm pretty sure the guys that do these rankings, usually they think something like this, because just check this absolutely stupid top 250 by Rolling Stone, and it's just funny how stupid this rating is. Like, really, this rating is a joke, because it has only like this subjective side, and subjective side is always a little bit stupid, because always the only measure that you have when you speak subjectively is only your personal experience, and personal experience of the guy on the street is completely different than my personal experience. Yeah, maybe this guy on the street is like a big fan of Nirvana and I'm a big fan of Metallica, let's say, and who is better? And now just try to mix these three ways. Try to mix purely objective way, subjective way, and influential way. And when you try to mix them, you get nothing that can be really taken seriously. You get nothing except like a joke or funny article in the magazine. So that's why I think all these ratings are a joke, and you can't seriously say that these are 250 guitarists of all time. That was my opinion. And of course, it would be really interesting for me to hear your opinion, so write it in the comments. And of course, have a nice day.